Good evening, everyone. Lord Malachite has come back after a slight absence in order to review some more Star episodes that he's woefully behind on. I decided to record this video tonight not just because I'm running so far behind on these, but I just also had kind of a shitty day. First of all, I was half an hour late for work today, which, happens to people now and then. It's not like I'm the only one afflicted with that. But I happen to work in a place that I'm not joking when I say this, will literally treat you being 1 minute late like as badly as if you just didn't come in and didn't call them or anything like that. And it's not the first time I've been late due to real big disasters on the highway, despite the fact that it takes me 25 minutes to get there under ideal conditions, and I leave about 50 minutes early, doubling that time every day, and I'm still having that trouble. The good news is, hopefully, I really am not expecting to have to be there very long due to some other developments, which I'm not going to discuss here, so that's a positive thing. The bad news is they may end up letting me go a little prematurely over their really, really asinine rules, and well, if anyone from work is watching that, I guess I don't care anymore because it is just kind of asinine, and I'm sorry, I can't help it if somebody decides to flip their tractor trailer over. Anyway, moving on from my wonderful work life, excuse me. Moving on from my wonderful work life, another thing going on today is that my mother is in the hospital. Please, nobody panic or be too worried. It was a planned surgery. It was not an emergency situation. She's having her knee replaced. Those of you that know me know that she had one of her knees replaced back at the beginning of March, actually. In fact, that whole her reason for having that surgery, she's had debilitating issues for years, and so actually, that ended up being one of the reasons why I lost a job I had for about a decade that at one point in time was a really good job, but as the company went downhill and sold itself and a lot of things happened, it just became a terrible place to work. So it was a job that losing it was a real crimp in my wallet, but I am glad not to have to go there anymore. And I'm glad I was able to be there and help her, my mother, through the recovery. Sadly, I won't be around as much for this recovery. I can't drive out to see her. It's like a 50-mile drive every day. But when she gets out of the hospital on Friday, she will be like in a rehab facility for physical therapy for probably about a week and a half or so. And the great news is that's only a mile down the road from me. And they do have 24-hour visiting. So even though I work until 10 p.m., I can get out of there and come home, and I can bring her things, spend a little time with her, and then I'm practically right home. So it's not an inconvenience. In fact, it's about as convenient as it could be, aside from her actually being at home. So sorry to bore anyone with any of those details, but that's what's going on in my life right now, and that's why things have been a little hectic. But you're not here to hear about my life story. You're here to talk about Star versus the Forces of Evil. And I know there's new episodes out, and I have been watching them faithfully. I haven't gotten to the ones that were just on today. This is September 27th as I record this. September 20, yeah, it is September 27th. New episodes aired yesterday. I'll get to those two soon enough. But I haven't quite caught up on the reviews to even the newest new episodes yet. I'm still on the last ones from the summer when they made the brilliant decision to air new episodes at 10:30 in the morning, because that's where the audience for the show is, sitting in front of the TV on a summer at 10:30 in the morning. Yeah. I mean, really, Disney, what were you thinking about that 10:30 in the morning? And you wonder why your summer was so messed up. Maybe that's the reason why season 2 has been so bad for Star Versus, and why, conversely, as the episodes seem to have moved to a primetime spot, they've been getting better and better. But we'll talk more about that. So today we are at the last of the quote-unquote summer episodes, and these were actually fantastic episodes. So forgive me, I didn't even take the time to write down who was responsible for what in these, because frankly, I don't care. Anyone who was involved with Starsitting and on the job, they really definitely deserve all the credit. They did a phenomenal job. These are two of the best episodes, and I have nothing but positive things to say about them. I really can't even find much in the way to nitpick. The brilliance of putting these two episodes together and kind of intertwining them, starting with Starsitting, where Buff Frog shows up with all of his tadpole babies and asks Star and Marco to babysit them while he goes out on a job, and we see all the little misadventures we get to, and really we see what a let's say, unique mother that Star would be. Now, we know Star definitely has mother issues. We don't just have to have watched the episode Sleep Spells from season 1 to know that. She and her mother really don't get along. But at the same time, it is clear that they do still love each other. It's just that there's some resentment going on, mainly that Star is not the daughter that her mother wishes that she had, and Star resents the fact that her mother basically tries to mold and conform, make her mold and conform into the shape that her mother wants to be. So that is a big issue between them. But aside from that, it's not that the Queen is some just gigantic bitch who wants to control everyone. She really does care about Star. We see that in several episodes. I think the first time it really came through was at the end of Storm the Castle, and there has been moments here and there, including in some of the new episodes, which we will talk about as I get to them, because we haven't really seen much of the Queen yet in season 2. And when we have, it's usually been in more of a negative light, like, what have you done this time? So it has been good to see her in some other types of capacities. And when we get to those episodes, we're going to give that credit to her character there. So what we saw really in Starsitting, the thing that I think sticks out the most is, I guess you could say, almost the quote-unquote parental dynamic. It really shows how responsible Marco is and how irresponsible Star is when we get right down to it, because that's all it really comes down to. Star is a very irresponsible girl. I've said it before. She's naive, she's impatient, she's impulsive. These are her character quirks and flaws. They're not necessarily terrible things, but they are there and they are an issue. Like the way that Star tries to feed the babies cake. She tries to do things her way. She insists that they have fun. She tries to feed them food that she feels is fun, is appropriate, and she basically doesn't follow the instructions that Buff Frog gives her. In spite of this, and in spite of both Star and Marco having to clean up some messes, they do pretty much get the job done. The babies not only survive, but they begin to evolve by growing their legs at the end of the episode. And it's interesting to see the dynamic. I mean, we've always known from the first episode that Marco is going to be the responsible one, and Star is going to be kind of the chaotic one, chaos incarnate. That's there. Because she's just adventurous and no one's ever really taken the time to rein her in. And that's a real big part of her character, and I think it's going to continue to be. But it is cool that we saw that Star does have some kind of maternal instincts. I mean, she really took to these little babies. And it's hard to imagine Star ever being a mother. Forget all the Starco stuff out there or whatever. And again, when I say forget Starco, I'm not trying to say bash Starco, boo Starco. No. Starco is great. I want it to happen slowly in time, but it's far from the point where they should be having a kid. They haven't even talked about their feelings that they'll eventually have for each other yet, so let's just let that one lie. But Star having maternal instincts, especially at her age, is interesting. Now, obviously, that is a typical traditional quote-unquote girl thing. How many dolls are there out there for girls from a very young age that they always having little toddlers and babies and stuff to care for? They're still making them today. They were making them 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago and further back than that. It just ties into the whole maternal instinct. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole women and say that your job is to make babies, so please don't let me raise my flame shield here. That's not what I'm trying to get into this whole barefoot and pregnant thing. It's just something that's there. And even a girl like Star, who is she's kind of split down the middle in the fact that she can be very tomboyish. She's physically strong as well as having all her magical strength. She definitely does her own thing. She doesn't let anyone tell her what to do, be it a man or a woman or a monster or whatever they might be. She does what she wants to do, and she even defies her own parents quite a lot. But she definitely does have that maternal instinct kind of kick in, and she does have those feminine sides to her at times. So like the ways that she enjoys doing her hair, the different outfits that she wears. She still likes to wear girly outfits. She's still very much a girl, but she's not in any way a helpless girl. And She's definitely an empowered girl, but she's, like I said, she is also tomboy. So most things that are gross don't really scare her all that much unless it's like, really gross. We're talking about the kind of things that would probably gross out, that would probably gross out Ferguson as well. So uh, it's a neat dichotomy to her character, and seeing for the first time her really have this maternal instinct towards, uh, well, I mean, they're, I guess you could sort of say they're what, animals or monsters or whatever, but they're cute to her and she likes them, and even Marco seems to respect them. It's interesting that Buff Frog has kind of become sort of kind of their friend slash ally to an extent. Anyway, he definitely helped them beat Toffee, and Star had no qualms about watching over his kids for him. She didn't reach for her wand to give him an attack or anything. So it seems that their relationship has definitely changed for the better. And these are the things that I felt were really amazing about the episodes. The cute little moments, like the impromptu card that Star makes by taking the picture and sending it to Buff Frog. And of course, the flip side of all this, when we see on the job and we see things from Buff Frog's side, see how not only is he working so hard to raise these kids and all of them, but how he doesn't have the resources, he doesn't have enough food, and he has to find find a way how he's going to support these kids. And so he drops them off with Star, and he goes out on this major job that turns out to be stealing corn from the king, from the king, Star's father, River. So that was a neat little development, and it was great to see that job really go down, the different aspects of it, and how a lot of Buff Frog's old instincts are still there, but when put to the test, they kind of fall apart because he's gotten soft being a parent and doing all of these things with babies. Now, whenever he tries to do something violent, he starts imagining it happening to one of his children, and that puts him off. And that's a really cool development to add to his character. The fact that the episodes really go in and out of each other, the time that Buff Frog tries to call Star and she doesn't pick it up, we see both sides of that in each episode. The card that Star makes, we see Buff Frog's reaction to it when he gets it. We see how he saves his friends even after they abandon him for making one too many mistakes. And of course, the crown jewel of the episode is really the bit at the end when we see the rats that have been stealing the corn all along, we find are being controlled by Ludo, who I guess after his tussle with the rats in their little saloon, they're now new minions of his, just like the bird and the spider. So he's definitely growing his own little animal army rather than a monster army now. So these episodes really did give us a better view of many characters. I like that On the Job was similar to Ludo in the Wild. The presentation was different. It wasn't nearly as minimalistic, but it wasn't afraid to show us completely different characters beyond Star and Marco, to take the show totally out of Echo Creek for the most part, and show us the actions of lesser characters, minor characters, and what's going on. And it didn't have to lean on, Star constantly being there, Marco constantly being there. They were barely in the episode at all, not for more than, I think, a few seconds. And those were really just scenes we already saw in Starsitting, now just seen from Buff Frog's standpoint. And I hope they continue to do more episodes like that. I mean, obviously the show is called Star versus the Forces of Evil. She's the main character. She's going to be in all the episodes. And Marco is the male lead, so he's pretty much going to be in all the episodes too. And that's fine. I'm not advocating that they be in less episodes, but it's good for the writers and the animators and everyone involved, the storyboarders, the artists, keep pushing the envelope a little bit and push it in the right direction. A lot of season 2, it's been pushed in the wrong direction, absolutely, and things really seem to be getting on track. This is now where I can say we have reached season 1 quality. Starsitting and On the Job was a phenomenal A++ in my book. You guys really hit it out of the park, and it needs to keep going in that direction. Obviously, I'm going to be reviewing more episodes now that some have been coming out, and I feel good about the newer episodes as well. Those have also been moving in the right direction. So we need to keep that up. We need to keep seeing things improve, and hopefully not just meet the expectations set by season one, but ultimately exceed them by the time we get to the end of this season, wherever that may be. At one point, I was actually thinking of. I was worried that I was going to have to give up on this series. I'll admit, even when I said I would give up on Star, I didn't mean that I would no longer watch it at all. I was just on the cusp of really, not caring anymore. I wasn't going to, I'd get to watch the episodes when I got to them. Maybe just let a bunch pile up and wait till I was sick and just plow through a bunch of them, in that kind of sense, which I have a tendency to do sometimes with shows that have fallen from grace. I'll still watch them, but just not actively. I might get a couple seasons behind, and I'll just sit down when I have a bunch of time, or I get, too sick to go to work or do anything else, and I'll just have a marathon and burn through them. Or I'll just, get on a jag and decide I want to catch up with it, whatever. So that's where we're standing with the end of these summer episodes. Star Versus has really come a long way from the terrible episodes like My New Wand, Red Belt, Star on Wheels, Fetch, episodes that just, I felt like I was being punched in the face for 11 to 22 minutes at a time while watching them, because again, it's not that the actual episodes were so bad, it was how horrifically stupid they made the main characters, making them pretty much unlikable and being very out of character. I can't stand it when Star and Marco are made to be dumb, or when the frame of the universe is bent, like in Red Belt, where there's no magic at play. It's nothing that Star has done, but all of a sudden Echo Creek just decides to basically plant itself right in the middle of an episode of regular show and just have the most bizarre random things happening that make no sense, that defy physics, and there's no magic or anything involved. It's just a what the hell am I watching? And they seem to be moving away from that. I don't know if that was an experimentation on their part or what. I don't know if they were seeing if people liked it or not. Maybe somebody did. I don't know. I definitely did not. Please stop doing that. And you haven't done that in a while, and I'm hoping you're not going to do it again. So good on you, production team. That's pretty much all I have to say about these episodes. There's not a lot to nitpick and tear apart because all the moments were really good in both of them from beginning to end. These were very, very high mark episodes. I'd give them at least a bare minimum of a 9 out of 10 each, if not higher, probably more like a 9.5. So they're really, really heading in the right direction. This is what we need to see. This is what Star Versus should have been. In fact, this probably could have been how you led the season off. And maybe if you'd put off some of the events of my New Wand, maybe Star would have been a little more intelligent and not acted like an idiot through that episode. But again, that's where we stand. So more reviews will be coming. In the meantime, thanks always for watching. Please, leave me a note about what you thought, and if there's anything that I haven't tackled that you want me to. I've been doing so many Star videos lately because I'm just so far behind. There's videos I want to do for both My Little Pony and Steven Universe, and the reason why you've only seen me do one of each of those so far is because there's just so many out there that I really don't want to just jump on a bandwagon and say, yeah, me too. Watch my video. I have something to say as well. I really want to, my approach to those series, two series that I really love, is I'm probably going to do more comprehensive videos. Like I think I'm just going to address, at least parts of seasons, or, maybe like a half season with My Little Pony because they're so long. I might address some actual arcs or just cherry pick a few like really great episodes of Steven Universe and talk about them rather than just come on every week and talk about the latest episode. And with, thousands and thousands of other people out there that are doing it, there's enough of it going around that I don't want to just repeat myself endlessly or just parrot what everyone else is saying. So that's been my thinking there. I've kind of become a Star guy, but there's other stuff I want to do. I did recently. I just saw the new Blair Witch movie, which was not a reboot of the franchise as it's often quoted as. It's a direct sequel to the original one. So it is the third movie in the franchise, and it's gotten some pretty bad reviews. I'm kind of forgiving of it. I'm not trying to hold it up and say, yeah, it was really great. They hit it out of the park. No, they didn't, but it's kind of hard to for something like that. I mean, this was pretty much the safe sequel that was more or less a direct sequel to the original movie. It was kind of just the original one on steroids. Some of the scares were interesting, some were not. The characters were definitely not as interesting as the ones from the original. But some of the mechanics we learned and how they really tried to expand the universe without breaking any of the quote unquote rules that were set up in the original. Not that there really were much. There's not a lot in the way of mechanics or anything for Blair Witch, but this one did introduce some, and I thought they were interesting. So maybe I'll go into that in more detail. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of details about the Blair Witch in a Star Versus video. And of course, I'm starting to hook my PlayStation back up and get into gaming, and with many gift cards I've acquired over the last few years, I may break down and upgrade to a PS4 Pro. So, I was a big Kickstarter backer of Shantae 4, Half GD Hero, many years ago when it was on Kickstarter. You know, back when I had money to fund other gaming projects. So I'm looking forward to getting that stuff. It was supposed to be out today, but of course there was that delay announced about a month ago. Yet again, another delay, but it is a way forward game, and generally they don't disappoint me. So I'll give them credit. I'm just a little worried about the time they're starting to release that. That's about all I want to say for now. I'm starting to ramble into a lot of other things. So please let me know what you think. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and let's keep making Season 2 better and better. Peace out.